Hello and welcome to Indus News. Live from Islamabad, I'm Naila Shuja and these are the headlines. Israel's parliament has dissolved after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's fractured ruling coalition failed to pass a budget. This triggers the fourth election in 2 years and renews an unprecedented political crisis. United States President Donald Trump has rejected the $892 billion coronavirus relief bill. In a video message, Trump called the package a disgrace and demanded the removal of wasteful items. If the president vetoes the legislation, the United States government could shut down on the 29th of December, as a $1.4 trillion federal spending measure is attached to the bill. In India, farm unions have issued a call for global protests in at least 10 cities against the new agriculture laws. Farmers have camped on the outskirts of the capital, Delhi, for 28 days now. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party says there is no question of the government repealing the reforms. The United States has surpassed 322,000 coronavirus deaths and 18 million cases. The virus has also reached the Antarctica continent after the Chilean army reported 36 cases in its research station. Meanwhile, Pakistan has reported 2,100 infections and 84 fatalities overnight. The nationwide death toll has risen to 9,557. Globally, the virus has claimed over 1.7 million lives and infected 78 million people. Barcelona have hammered Real Valladolid at 3-0 in their La Liga encounter. Lionel Messi scored his 644th goal to surpass Pelé as the all-time record scorer for a single club. Barca are on the 5th place in the Spanish league with 24 points. For more news in detail, stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. Israel's parliament has dissolved after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's fractured ruling coalition failed to pass a budget. This triggers the fourth election in 2 years and renews an unprecedented political crisis. The Knesset voted against an attempt by Netanyahu to delay a midnight deadline to approve the 2020 budget. Polls were automatically called for 90 days from now, named March 23rd, though it could be changed by his vote. His coalition partner Benny Gantz wrote on Twitter that Netanyahu is taking Israel to an election to avoid the courtroom. Netanyahu and Gantz established a unity government in May after 3 inconclusive elections since April of 2019. The United States, Morocco, and Israel have signed a tripartite declaration cementing the Washington-sponsored normalization of ties. Moroccan Foreign Minister Nasser Bourita said that King Mohammed VI met the United States-Israeli delegation in Rabat. The joint delegation was led by senior White House advisor Jared Kushner. Bourita said that the parties agreed to establish mutual communication offices within 2 weeks. He said that the agreement stipulates that parties fulfill their obligations and take other steps before the end of January. Israel and Morocco have also signed 4 bilateral agreements. These include deals on direct air links, water management, connecting financial systems, and a visa-waiving agreement for diplomats. In a statement, King Mohammed said Morocco will remain an advocate for the Palestinians. He reiterated Morocco's commitment to the Palestinian cause, based on the two-state solution to the conflict. Meanwhile, Tunisia says that it is not interested in establishing diplomatic relations with Israel. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry said Tunisia's position will not be affected by any international changes. In India, farm unions have issued a call for global protests in at least 10 cities against the new agriculture laws. Farms have camped on the outskirts of the capital, Delhi, for 28 days now. Speaking at the venue of the anti-farm law protest in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, CM said that farmers are food providers and the central government is not respecting them. Meanwhile, a farmers' union has formed a 5-member committee to discuss the government's proposal for talks. They are demanding a withdrawal of the reforms, but the Narendra Modi's government says there is no question of the repealing of the laws. British media regulator Ofcom has fined the Indian news channel Republic TV over $26,000 for airing hate speech against Pakistanis. Ofcom concluded that the show was in a serious breach of its rules. Ofcom said that Republic TV has been told not to repeat the program. In the show, controversial host Arnab Goswami and some of his guests portrayed all Pakistani people as terrorists. Ofcom said that the statements were expressions of hatred based on intolerance for a nationality alone. It said that it has found that the material posed as a risk of harm to the Pakistani community in the United Kingdom. The controversial anchor was also arrested in November and then released on bail in an abet to suicide case. Turkey has urged the United States to review sanctions on Ankara over the purchase of Russian S-400 defense system. Defense Minister Hulusi Akar said Ankara bought the missile system to bolster security and in line with its national interests. He said Russia responded positively to Turkey's request and Ankara made its military, economic and technological plans in accordance. He said inspection and controls of the S-400 system are underway based on the activity plan set by Ankara and Moscow. He said that the sanctions do not benefit the ties of the NATO allies. The United States has imposed sanctions on Turkey, alleging that the deployment of S-400 is incompatible with NATO technology. The United States has slapped fresh sanctions on Syria, targeting its central bank and blacklisting several people and entities. The latest curbs are a part of the continued effort to cut off funds for President Bashar al-Assad's government. In a statement, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the United States will continue to seek accountability for those prolonging the Syrian conflict. Pompeo said Asma al-Assad, wife of Syrian president, has also been targeted. Washington accuses her of impeding efforts for a political resolution to the war. United States President Donald Trump has rejected the $892 billion coronavirus relief bill. In a video message, Trump called the package a disgrace and demanded the removal of wasteful items. Trump has asked the Congress to increase stimulus payments to most Americans from $600 to $2,000. Slamming the bill, he said that it had nothing to do with the COVID relief. Trump's statement has plunged the bill, approved by Congress after days of furious negotiations, into turmoil.
The bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID.
Failure to pass another stoppage bill or override a possible Trump veto could result in a partial government lockdown on the 29th of December, as a $1.4 trillion federal spending measure is attached to the bill. The United States has surpassed 322,000 coronavirus deaths and 18 million cases. The virus has also reached Antarctica after the Chilean army reported 36 cases at its research station. Globally, the virus has claimed 1.7 million lives and infected 78 million people. More on the coronavirus in this report.
The surging cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. have essentially put the country under a siege as hospitals remain overwhelmed. Pfizer is close to striking another deal with Washington to supply tens of millions of additional doses of its vaccine. Meanwhile, as the virus reaches the end of the Earth in the Antarctic, scientists believe extreme weather conditions can further affect immune systems.
We know that exposure of extreme weather affects a person's physiology. The condition of isolation, the changes in seasonal light with the seasonal sensitivity can also be immunosuppressive. So, we know that several components may further affect the person to lower their immune system in extreme conditions, and especially with the work they do there.
Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Germany's CureVac all claim that their vaccines will be effective against the new strain raging in Britain, while BioNTech is testing the effectiveness of its vaccine against the variant as it prepares to send 12.5 million doses to EU by the end of the year. Meanwhile, France has agreed to open borders with Britain provided that travelers show a recent negative COVID-19 test. Over in Australia, after the second day of low cases in South New Wales, the state has relaxed restrictions for Christmas.
Can I be very clear that whatever we have in place today goes back on the 27th, and in between they're very modest tweaks and modest changes to account for the fact that everybody has had a very difficult year. Some people's stress levels and mental health capacity is already at breaking point, and we want to try and put that against the current risks as we see them.
South Korea has reported its second highest daily tally of infections. A survey shows growing public dissatisfaction with Seoul's handling of the latest wave.
In Pakistan, 84 people have lost their lives to COVID-19 over the past 24 hours. This takes the country's death toll to 9,557. The health ministry says 2,142 people have tested positive for the virus overnight. It added there are nearly 38,000 active corona cases in the country, out of nearly 463,000 countrywide cases. More than 415,000 people have recovered. The ministry said that the southern province of Sindh has the highest number of cases with over 206,000 infections. The province of Punjab has reported more than 133,000 cases. In the capital city of Islamabad, over 36,000 people have been infected so far. Russian and Chinese bombers flew a joint patrol mission over the Western Pacific. The Russian military said a pair of its strategic bombers and 4 Chinese bombers flew over the Sea of Japan and the East China Sea. In a statement, the Russian Defense Ministry said that the joint mission aimed to develop and strengthen bilateral ties. The ministry added that the patrol flight was not directed against any third country. The joint mission was the second such flight since a July 2019 patrol over the same area. Russia has sought to develop stronger ties with China, and its relations with the West sank over several issues. Russia has sent 300 military instructors to the Central African Republic. Moscow said that they will train military personnel of the National Army under an existing agreement. In a statement, the Russian Foreign Ministry expressed concerns over the deteriorating security situation in CAR. Bangui sought military assistance from Russia and Rwanda ahead of the nationwide elections. Rwandan President Paul Kagame also confirmed the deployment of troops without giving numbers. This could bolster security forces and UN peacekeepers against the alliance of armed rebel groups, threatening to march on the capital. The rebels have already seized the country's 4th largest city, Bambari, 5 days before the polls. Two Russian diplomats accused of engaging in espionage have left Colombia. The South American nation says that the officials cannot return.
Our government made the decision to request the withdrawal of 2 Russian diplomatic officials who were accredited in Colombia after verifying that they were carrying out activities in the country that were incompatible with the provisions of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. As a result, the procedure was followed, one that is established in the 9th article of the aforementioned international instrument.
Hundreds of opposition supporters have set up a protest camp outside Armenian government's headquarters in central Yerevan. The move is a part of a pressure campaign against Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. The Prime Minister's opponents say he must resign over the mishandling of a 6-week conflict over the Nagorno-Karabakh region. They have also threatened to launch a national strike. On Saturday, a rally led by Pashinyan marched through the capital towards Yerebul military cemetery to commemorate the soldiers killed in the conflict. In November, Russia brokered a truce between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which saw big territorial gains for Baku. It's now time for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Pakistan, at least 8 people have died and 16 others injured in an explosion at a factory in the new Karachi industrial area. Police said that the incident took place inside an ice and cold storage facility inside a boiler room. Deputy Superintendent of Police said that 7 people were inside the factory when the blast occurred. He said that the building has been extensively damaged and nearby factories have also been affected. Rescue officials said at the site stated that the roof of the building caved in after the blast. Provincial Minister for Labor, Said Ghani, has ordered a probe into the incident. In France, the top administrative court has imposed a ban on police use of drones to monitor protests in Paris. The move comes as Parliament discusses a contentious security bill. The Council of State asked Paris Police Prefect Didier Limond to halt drone surveillance. The ruling said that there was serious doubt over the legality of drones without a pretext authorizing their use. The court decision backs privacy rights groups that argue that the security bill violates freedom of expression. The bill's main aim is to regulate how people share film or photos of police. Over 5 dozen climbers from countries including Nepal, the United States, and Spain have arrived in Pakistan for K2's winter expedition. Of the 14 mountains that raise to at least 8,000 meters, K2 is the only one unclimbed during the winter due to its high winds and icy slopes.
The climbers from different countries will make all-out efforts to claim one of the last remaining great prizes in mountaineering. During winters, avalanches are an ever-present risk, with temperatures falling to -65 Celsius and winds blowing with the power of cyclones. K2 has earned the nickname of Killer Mountain for the large number of mountaineers who have lost their lives climbing it. According to the National Geographic, a winter ascent has only been attempted 5 times prior to 2019. Over 300 climbers have scaled the K2 in spring and summer, but none in winter.
In Singapore, with the coronavirus disrupting holiday trips overseas, some residents have decided to pack their luggage and head to Jewel Changi Airport, where the top floor of the airport mall has been transformed into a camping site. More in this report.
Staying overnight at an airport is not unheard of, especially if you missed a flight. However, some people are willingly choosing to spend the night at Singapore's Changi Airport, albeit in luxury tents that offer glamping, a portmanteau for glamorous camping.
Usually we go out of the country every holiday, but since we can't travel much and it's the school holiday, so I thought, why not do something different for the children? And I think they enjoy camping, right? They always, set up tents in our house. So I thought, okay, let's give them this experience.
To bring the holiday spirit to life, grounds covered with luxury tents have been decked out with queen-sized beds, toiletries, and festive Christmas lights. People pay up to $269 a night for the experience.
I mean, it is pretty pricey. When I told my husband, he was like, we could have paid for a hotel, which we did. We went for a staycation. But I told him I think it's more for the kids, not really for us. It's an experience for them and it's something different. So I said, it's okay. Anyway, the money, instead of going overseas, we just spend it in Singapore.
Since no campfires are allowed, the glampers get to wake up to the gushing sounds of the mall's indoor waterfall, along with an added perk of shopping discounts. While there are many happy campers, some people are hesitant if the demand will even remain once the pandemic has passed.
The World Bank has warned China to avoid a premature exit from its economic support policies. In a report, the bank cited concerns of a precarious global outlook next year. The bank urged the People's Bank of China to be cautious in tightening its monetary policies. The agency said China should maintain an accommodative policy to help recover from the pandemic. It forecasts China's gross domestic product growth that will slow to 2% this year, down from 6.1% in 2019. But it said that the GDP will accelerate to 7.9% in 2021. The report predicts that exports will not contribute to growth next year, after a large increase in 2020. The European Union says it is making a final push to strike a Brexit trade deal with Britain. Speaking in Brussels, the EU chief negotiator Michael Barnier said that talks have entered a crucial moment. Barnier held a closed-door meeting to update the bloc's 27 national envoys on Brexit. He said the fisheries remained a stumbling block in the talks. Barnier said that London's latest offer on sharing the catch from 2021 is totally unacceptable. Britain is set to complete its departure from the EU on the 31st of December, meaning its current free trade agreements expire. While UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has ruled out an extension to the post-Brexit transition period. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific are trading higher following a U.S. President Donald Trump's remarks on the new COVID-19 relief package. China's Shanghai Composite Index has gained by over 0.4%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng has gained by 0.5%. Japan's Nikkei is also rising by 0.3%, while Australia's ASX 200 has also added 0.6%. Barcelona have hammered Real Valladolid 3-0 in their La Liga encounter. Lionel Messi scored his 644th goal to suppress Pelé as the all-time scored for the single club. French Clement Lenglet drove Barca into the lead in the 21st minute with Messi's first assist of the season. Martin Berrawith capitalized on Barca's lead in the 35th minute, followed by Messi scoring the third to seal the team's win. Barca are fifth in the Spanish league table with 24 points. In another fixture, Atletico Madrid beat Real Sociedad 2-0 to move 3 points clear atop the league with 32 points. Tokyo Olympics organizers will spend $900 million on measures to stop the spread of COVID-19 at the next year's Games. They say these measures and the delay brings the entire cost to about $15.4 billion. At a briefing, Tokyo Olympics chief executive Toshihiro Muto said that securing medical staff remains an issue. The virus countermeasures include PCR testing, infrastructure clinics, and remote coverage setups. Organizers said that some of the extra costs will be covered by an additional sponsorship and insurance. They will also tap a contingency fund detailed in last year's budget to cover some costs. The Tokyo Olympics were postponed in March because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's now time to take a look at the weather around the world. For the latest news updates, you can follow us on our social media at indus.news.